Rome conquered the known world. But for 500 years, one enemy made them look like amateurs. The Parthians didn't just defeat Rome. They humiliated her. Then they vanished. Completely. The year was 53 BCE. Marcus Licinius Crassus, the richest man in Rome, marched 40,000 legionaries into Parthian territory. He wanted glory to match Caesar and Pompey. What he found was a masterclass in military humiliation. The Parthians sent just 10,000 horse archers. 10,000 against 40,000. And here's what makes this story fascinating. Those 10,000 didn't just win. They annihilated the Roman force so completely that it took Rome decades to recover. But the weapon they used wasn't superior numbers or better armor. It was something the Romans had never encountered. Something that would haunt them for 5 centuries. And understanding this weapon reveals why Parthia could dominate Rome for so long, and why their sudden disappearance remains one of history's strangest mysteries. The Parthians invented something called the Parthian shot. Picture this. A horse archer gallops toward Roman lines, fires arrows, then turns and flees. The Romans chase. They always chase. But as the Parthian rides away at full speed, he twists in his saddle and fires backwards. Accurately. Repeatedly. The Romans couldn't close the distance. They couldn't retreat without being slaughtered. They couldn't even form their famous testudo formation because arrows came from every direction simultaneously. At Carrhae, the Parthians circled the Roman army for hours. They had camel trains carrying thousands of extra arrows. When Roman soldiers raised their shields overhead, arrows struck their exposed legs. When they lowered shields to protect their legs, arrows found their necks. If this sounds like a nightmare, drop a like, because it gets worse. Crassus watched his army dissolve around him. But here's where it gets strange. Rome was the greatest military power in history. They adapted to everything. They copied Greek tactics, Carthaginian naval designs, Celtic swords. So why couldn't they solve the Parthian problem? They had 500 years. That's 20 generations of military commanders. And they never figured it out. The answer lies in geography and culture. Pause 2s, the Parthian Empire stretched from the Euphrates to Afghanistan. Their heartland was the Iranian plateau, vast grasslands perfect for breeding horses. Every Parthian noble learned to ride before they could walk. They grew up hunting from horseback. Compare that to Roman soldiers, infantry from Italian farms and Mediterranean cities. You cannot train an adult to match someone who's been riding since age 3. Rome's greatest military minds understood this. And it terrified them. Now imagine you're a Roman emperor. Your predecessor lost to Parthia. His predecessor lost to Parthia. Every generation has tried, and every generation has failed. Do you risk everything on another Eastern campaign? Most didn't. And this created something unprecedented. A permanent rival that Rome could never absorb. Think about that for a second. Rome conquered Gaul, Britain, Egypt, Greece, Judea. They turned the Mediterranean into a Roman lake. But Parthia laughed at them. For 5 centuries. The Parthians knew exactly what they were doing. They'd engage Roman forces in the desert, draw them away from water sources, and let the sun do half their work. Then those deadly horse archers would finish the job. Roman historians called them treacherous. But was it treachery? Or was it simply military genius that Rome couldn't match? But that's not even the worst part. In 260 CE, something happened that no Roman could have imagined. Emperor Valerian led an army against Parthia's successors. He was captured alive. SFX, dramatic sound, a Roman emperor, taken prisoner by an Eastern power. According to Persian sources, they used him as a human footstool. When foreign dignitaries visited, Valerian would kneel so their king could step on his back to mount his horse. When he finally died, they skinned him, stuffed him with straw, and displayed him in a temple. For centuries. Now you understand why Rome feared this region. But here's the twist that changes everything. Despite this dominance, despite 500 years of humiliating Rome's finest, the Parthians themselves were about to face something they couldn't survive. Subscribe now if you want to see how an empire this powerful simply ceased to exist. The Parthian Empire had a fatal flaw built into its foundation. They weren't a centralized state like Rome. They were a confederation of noble families, each controlling their own territory, their own armies, their own ambitions. The king was first among equals, not an absolute ruler. This worked brilliantly for external wars. Noble families competed to prove their valor against Rome. But it was poison for internal stability. Pause 2s, by the early 3rd century, the noble houses were exhausted from constant power struggles. The treasury was drained. The royal family had fractured into warring factions. And watching from the southern province of Persis was a local ruler named Ardashir. He saw an empire held together by nothing but tradition. And tradition, he knew, could be broken. What happened next sealed their fate forever. In 224 CE, Ardashir rebelled. Within 4 years, he had killed the last Parthian king in battle and erased the Arsacid dynasty from existence. 500 years of history, gone in one generation. The Parthian shot, the cavalry tactics, the unconquerable military tradition, all of it transferred to new masters. The Sassanid Persians took everything the Parthians had built and made it their own. SFX, dramatic sound, and here's what makes this truly remarkable. The Parthians left almost no written records. No great literature. No monuments proclaiming their victories. The empire that humiliated Rome for 5 centuries became a footnote in Persian history. Their conquerors wrote them out of existence so completely that today, most people have never heard of them. Rome remembered. Rome never forgot Carrhae, never forgot Valerian. But the Parthians themselves vanished. Like they never existed at all. So what can we learn from an empire that dominated for 5 centuries then vanished? Perhaps this. Military supremacy means nothing without political unity. The Parthians could defeat any external enemy. They perfected mounted warfare. They made Rome look foolish again and again. But they couldn't solve the problem of internal division. Their strength, those independent noble families, became their fatal weakness. In the end, Parthia teaches us that empires don't fall to superior enemies. They fall when they stop being